sectors who share the common goal of creating innovative, people-centric approaches to attain the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Let's take a peek into the CCW and their initiatives. We would be playing a small video.
Just leave it there. Know how long you've waited to see your mother. And to know you must be feeling. She left me here first, alone.
India's rural economy constitutes nearly half of the nation's income. Therefore, its growth and development are key to the overall growth of the country. Rural India
Am I supposed to?
Rural India aspires for better employment opportunities, education opportunities, and better standard of living. There is a need to implement grassroots interventions and ensure that rural youth are engaged in scaling these in a sustainable manner. Social enterprises like Resham Sutra support rural economy to bring in livelihood opportunities within the rural clusters. Resham Sutra, a social enterprise focused on doubling income of silk-producing companies in Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Assam, and Meghalaya. This has become possible by training them on solar-powered reeling practices, bringing them together through focused women-led community institutions, linking them to market for better pricing and ensuring they engage with their stakeholders for quality input, services, and market linkages. We have a video of Resham Sutra, but since we've lost time, we'll park it for later. And now I would take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed panelists who are the stalwarts in the rural ecosystem space. Mr. Dhirendra Kumar, as an Indian Forest Service officer, he led Jharcraft from 2006 to 2014 as the managing director. His visionary leadership and systemic innovations, the tussar silk production in Jharkhand grew more than 10 times. He brought livelihood opportunities to more than 350,000 tribal people in the field of sericulture, weaving, and handicrafts. His efforts have not only made an economic impact, but also changed social life of the people. So we welcome you on our panel. Our next speaker on the panel is Ms. Neelam Chhiber. For more than 3 decades now, Neelam has been working towards empowering the producer community in rural India through her social enterprises, Mother Earth and Industree. In the year 2000, she co-founded Industree Foundation, a non-governmental organization. Today, the foundation has built an ecosystem that is directly impacting 200,000 artisans, making fashion and lifestyle products across India and the world. Industree ensures the artisans become part of mainstream value chains, and have greater control over their economic security. Ma'am, we welcome you on our panel. Our next speaker is Mr. A.B. Chakravarthy, the country head of Upaya Social Ventures. He is a seasoned impact investment professional who has played a key role in growing the businesses of portfolio companies. He helps companies shape their growth strategies and bring good corporate governance structures. We look forward to learning from his experience in the sector. Welcome, Chakra. Finally, we have our very own Mr. Kunal Vaid, an early stage social entrepreneur leading Resham Sutra to create impact at the bottom of the pyramid. He has innovated a number of livelihood machines that increase income for rural users and reduce drudgery. The company is trying to make a difference, one rural home at a time. I would be inviting Kunal to host for this session. And before that, a small note for all the audience. As the questions keep coming to your mind, please, you could either send them in the chat box, or we will park it for the later 10 minutes when we open the floor for question answer sessions. Over to you, Kunal.
Thank you, Upasana, for the introduction, and welcome everybody. Let's get going straight away. So I'd like to start the discussion with you, Dhirendra Kumarji. So your department's approach had to change from being implementers to being facilitators, in your own words. And as you have always believed that government agencies should encourage people on the field to own the scheme. So in your time with the government and while you're working after your government role, Kumar Sahab, have you seen this kind of change happen? And why do you think such change is needed in the government mindset? Dhirendra Kumarji, over to you.
Hello.
Kumar Sahab. You are audible now. Please go on.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. So, Upasana has given a lot of introduction about myself, and I will share some of my experience in the field of sericulture, handloom, and handicraft, maybe briefly. By profession, I'm a forester. But one morning, I got a phone call from the Chief Minister office. The Chief Minister wants me to head this sericulture directorate. And that's how I landed in the sericulture.
I think we have lost you, Dhirendra Kumarji. Can you please reconnect the voice?
I didn't know anything about. I'm audible?
Yes,
hello?
Sir.
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about the sericulture, about handicraft or handloom. But then it was Chief Minister's choice. I should handle this. So I came here. When I reviewed the things, I found that there are many project centers in the field. And each project center is supporting 120 farmers per year. 100 to 120 farmers. And they were producing commercial eggs by multiplication of the basic seeds or basic egg. They were supplying commercial eggs. Then I thought that if their role is changed, they became the facilitator, they can handle at least up to 100 groups of 25 persons each. That means when they were supporting 100 persons, now when their role was changed, they were able to support 2,500 persons with the same setup, the same strength, same staff. So this is how the things change. So we decided that we will organize the villagers into a concept for what is the concept Resham Doot. We'll organize the weavers, rearers into a group of 25. And the leader will be known as Resham Doot or Silk Ambassador. And that leader, hello? Hello?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. And that leader will do the multiplication work and he will produce the commercial seeds. That was the basic change in the department we took. This policy change has brought a substantial difference in the production of the Tasar silk in the state and in the country. From 90 metric ton in 2006 when I joined the department, it was 2,200 metric ton when I left in 2014. In a span of about 9 years, we grew more than 20 times in the period. And now the journey is continuing. So I feel that government should encourage the grassroots level workers. They should be skilled, they should be imparted training, they should be given the technology, and they let them do it. And what has been the impact? The impact has been when the multiplication was done in the PPC or the project site by our staff, the ratio of seed to seed or egg to egg ratio was 1:6. Now it is 1:15. See the difference. When it is done by the local people, it is 2.5 times more. The average ratio is 1:15. The production of commercial eggs has increased by 2.5 times. Then the production of cocoons has also increased. And the department was itself doing it. It was 1:30. Seed to cocoon ratio was 1:30, 1:35. Now it is 1:80, 1:90. It's like that. When you encourage the local people at the grassroots level, the things change. This is the basic change we have brought in this sector, in the Tasar sector in the country. Now the model which we developed in the country, in the state, the whole country is following that model in the Tasar sector in the country today. So this is one innovations. And secondly, when we started the value additions, we thought that we will have the machines for reeling and spinning of the cocoons. We started using the machines developed by Central Silk Board. But we found that these machines are very clumsy. And then by chance, one day I met Kunal, who is basically a mechanical engineer, and he was mostly doing something in solars. So I said that why can't you join hands with Jharcraft and let us develop a machine with your mechanical engineering background, and you are also doing something in solars. So let us join these two things and develop a machine which will be a compact machine and solar powered machine, and which will reduce the treasury. The women face during conversion of cocoon into yarn. And that's how the things started. And initially we developed one machine, Samriddhi, and that was for the weft yarn. Then it was upgraded and Unnati machine was developed. And then the journey continues. Then more than 6-7 machines have been developed by Kunal, and he's doing research, all those things. And a few days back, I talked to him and I have told him that now we focus on developing automatic reeling machines in Tasar sector also. We do have automatic reeling machines in Malbari sector. So now there's the high time that we should have automatic reeling machines in Tasar sector also. This will increase the income level of the rural women. Today, with these machines which are available in the market, they are able to earn 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per month, not more than that. But once ARM machines are installed, their income will increase. This is one thing which we have. For the time being, I'd like to share this much only. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kumar sir. We'll come back to you later.
Yeah.
So that was a wonderful example of how you were able to adapt the government mechanism and systems to impact a much larger number of people.
It's a simple, Kunal.
So, Neelam, you seem to have somehow cracked the formula of how to do it well. So, do you think?
Yeah.
So, Neelam, do you think that is a? So, I'd like to ask this question from Neelam. Neelam, do you think social enterprises can collaborate successfully with governments? Is that a good idea for them? And what should be their, should they follow any ground rules so that they don't get lost in the red tapes and the entire large sizes of the government mechanisms?
Thank you, Kunal. And it was very interesting listening to Mr. Dhirendra Kumar, because I think he has shown us a very, very good example of government success in action. Yeah. And I think it's very creditable what has been achieved in Resham. And Kunal, you are a classic example of a social entrepreneur who has worked with the government. So you will know more about this than many of us. But yes, to answer your question, I think the guidance for social entrepreneurs to work with government is you should, I believe, not go to the government for funds. You should go to the government for their reach. You should have the ability to build your technologies. You should have the ability to have built the solutions. You should have the ability to augment the government's reach, because the government in their schemes, they may not have all the costs actually required factored in sometimes, you know, and because though despite the very, very creditable work that is done, there may also be some limitations sometimes in the government schemes and how they operate, because that is part of the process of the government, which has to be met. So therefore, it's always better for social entrepreneurs, if they want to retain their nimbleness or their agility, or to really solve at the speed they think is fit, because government speed may be a little different, social enterprise speed may be a little different. So I think it's very much worth doing the analysis and augmenting government's abilities with other forms of capital, and not depending 100% on government for everything. I think that is the only way to work with the government. Those are my thoughts, and I'll stop here.
So, taking that cue of augmenting government's resources with other forms of capital, I'd like to move to you, Chakra. So, you can help us understand this from the perspective of the investors, our sources of capital for social enterprises. So how do you think, do they view the interactions between the social enterprises and government, especially any kind of business model of a social enterprises that includes the government? Do you think they see that as something that's very risky, or they see that as something that's a part of the job and that can be scalable that way?
Kunal, before Mr. Chakravarthy gives answer, may I like to say something in this regard?
Yes, yes, please, Mr. Kumar. Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk of post-cocoon, the tasar crop is one annual crop. So once, if a group wants to do the reeling or spinning for the whole of the year, they have to purchase the cocoon in the production season itself in the month of November, December. For a group of 30 ladies, they need about 10 lakhs cocoons per year for regular running of the center. The cost of 10 lakhs cocoon is itself today, it varies between 30 lakhs to 35 lakhs. So that means they need a working capital of more than 30 lakhs per year. That means per person, they need at least a working capital of 1 lakh for the whole of the year. Of course, they will return the money in due course. Every month, they will return the money as they reel the cocoon. They will sell the yarn. There is no problem in selling of yarn if the quality is good, because there is large gap in the demand and supply of yarn in the country. At present, there is no problem in selling and sale of the yarn. But initially, they need the capital, and that is the problem in the government. Government is, and once they go to the bank, and if they take the things at 13-14% rate of interest, it's not profitable for the ladies, because they are not getting much. They are getting 4,000 or 5,000 rupees per month. If they take the loan at the rate of 13 or 14% or 12%, it's very, very difficult for them. And their monthly income goes down well below 3,000 rupees. So, sorry to interrupt. Okay, Mr. Chakravarthy.
No
Yeah,
problem,
Chakra.
Dhirendraji.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, you answered partly my sort of the response also. Thanks, everyone. Nice to be part of here, and thanks for Catalyst and Kunal team for putting this together and having me hosting here. So quickly about Upaya Social Venture. So we do venture investing in early stage enterprises that are creating impact, fully centered around employment generation for the underserved community, and that's what we do. Coming to question of what Kunal was asking, how do you investors see this, working with the government? I think I'll answer it in 2-3 parts. I think at the macro level, it's not, somebody will outright say that working with government is totally bad. But that's the outlook that generally prevails in the venture investing space, be it impact investing or mainstream investing. Okay, are you working with government? Okay, there is a high risk that is involved, but that's a general outlook. Even Kunal was generally alluding to, and generally that's what gets in the space. But I think any meaningful investor is not looking at that way. What is the opportunity there, and how what is that the business can really take off from there, and the real impact that can be created. Having said that, I think some of the levers, I think Neelam did answer, what are the scale that one can use. I think pretty much investor also looking at the same scale to sort of evaluate what is the kind of risk. First, they look how diversified is the product or service revenue that the government business versus a general B2B business that a company might be operating in. So what is the percentage of revenue that is getting locked in? So that's something people would look at. Second is, I think again, Neelam touched about the reach actually. Company has built fundamentally a very strong product, which they are selling to some private players. Now, the moment I go into government, can I really grow exponential? So that's a second sort of leaning somebody takes. Maybe third is, okay, what is typically in a government setup, what everybody sort of really worried is, okay, what is the working capital requirement? Is that really a startup or an early stage company can really afford it? Because a lot of company with huge balance sheet, with high financial might, large company can afford that. Can that really work for an early stage company? The answer is, that's the third one that an investor is outright look for, to say that, okay, what is the working capital that is required, and is that money sort of manageable for that company to take it back? And fourth point, I think Dhirendra touched in parts, which is, I think, capital at 2 levels, I would say. One is capital that is required to work with the government. So for example, if I am a product provider, if I'm in manufacturing, then I have to supply this machine to government, and then government pays it back to me. Whereas there is an opportunity or a finance capital that is required at an end beneficiary level, which is, let's say, if it is Cocoon, then there are women job holders who are working there. Then the capital requirement is not needed for the company, but for the last mile end beneficiary who are working on it. But I'll try to answer first at the enterprise level, which is needed. I think the real question is, okay, is there a capital first, let's say through a bill discounting or various other mechanisms that are available today through debt? is that something affordable for them, and what is the quantum that is required, and how quickly are we going to get the money back? I think that's the third premises that get answered. I think if these 3-4 parameters are generally there, I think investors are not generally averse to it, is what I would say. A well-meaning investor who see the reach and the potential of the government. I'll pause here and hand it over to Kumar.
Well, Chakra, your your answer actually gives rise to some new questions, and we will be coming back to you for that later. But
Sure.
For now, moving back to Neelam. Neelam, I think you will agree that as a social enterprise, whether for profit or not for profit, you need to be very focused on the goal. You know, for a livelihood oriented organization, it might be to maximizing income to the person at bottom of the pyramid. So, but then we have to interact with the civil society, with the government, with all the other non-social sort of enterprises and for profit companies. So what can a social entrepreneur do to lead all of them towards this common goal, which is not always their goal?
Yeah, Kunal. Yeah. I apologize for shutting my camera off. My signal is also not great, so I think it's better my voice is heard. No. I understand your question from two layers. One layer is that no social entrepreneur is a magician. Social entrepreneur is Superman, Superwoman, and they will handle all these complications, and they will give an investor return for money. They will give social return. They will do everything. That is one way of answering this question, which is how I would answer it earlier on in my career. Now, I firmly say that it is an acutely fractured ecosystem for social enterprise in this country. All of us who are here and who are sweating our guts out are doing it because we frankly think we are Superman and Superwomen, but our impact is badly, negatively impacted. Our abilities, our capability, we are all functioning at 10% of our capability and potential, frankly. Yeah, because the ecosystem is so badly fractured. And if the government of India doesn't have the ability to look at this problem, that 4,000 rupees income, I understand Mr. Dhirendra Kumar. I will take this example. It's a classic example and it's a very good example. And I will come back to Amul. I always come back to Amul. Because that's your only success story. Today, if a farmer is rich in this country, it is because farmer, other than planting, is also got 4 cows, 2 cows, 3 cows, 4 cows. And an entire ecosystem has been created for that farmer's wife to milk the cow, look after the cow, vaccinate the cow, the vet comes, everybody comes. One entire ecosystem was made 60 years ago. It took 10, 20 years to make that ecosystem, right? There is a chilling plant, it goes there, then it goes to a larger dairy, value addition is done, a cheese is made, yogurt is made, ice cream is made, and the returns of the value addition go down to the farmer who owns Amul. Wealth creation can never happen at primary product level. This, what Mr. Dhirendra ji is saying, 4,000 rupees, and out of that she's paying 1,500 rupees interest. Yeah, on her 1 lakh rupee loan per month. Yeah. So why is it that a Tata and a Titan is getting loans at 8% interest? Whereas our poorest people are still getting at 14%. Where is all that priority sector money at 6%, which is supposed to go to them at 8%? So, but I'm not saying government will do this. I'm saying the way Amul was done, and he raised the equivalent of $1 billion at that time, 60 years ago, to build the ecosystem. And the biggest issue is the fractured ecosystem, right? There needs to be a very, very strong capital ecosystem. There needs to be more blended finance in capital. They should be getting interest. China, how do you compete with China in silk? all of Chinese industry is getting access to loans at 6 to 8%. But no, our poor people will get loans from 14% to 22%. Yeah, I am taking loans for green craft producer company at 16 to 18%. So it's ridiculous. There is no sense of any competitiveness. So, you know our 6C framework, Kunal, at this point. I will just talk about the 6C framework and say there are 6 Cs and all of us have to get together to build the ecosystem. And the 6 Cs are, first is construct, which is aggregation. Government of India is great at aggregation. What Dhirendra Kumar has just said, civil society is great at aggregation. Aggregation is key for economies of scale. Okay, so in construct, there is aggregation. Now I'll talk about the other problem of 4,000 rupees. How will you increase her income to 15,000 rupees? She needs to move into further value addition. After spinning, her yarn has to go to weaving. After weaving, her yarn has to go to build a fashion brand. She needs to get more value. She needs to own the brand. And for that, who is going to make the investments? And who are the professionals? Is this woman from the village who makes the yarn, is she going to be able to run a world-class brand like Amul? No. Professionals run Amul. So in construct, you need professional management services. Ecosystem has to build that for scale across multiple value chains. The way Amul has done it for milk. I sat in a meeting with the chairman of Mother Dairy. I was just sitting on the sofa next to him. He was talking to a consultant about how to clean milk pipelines. They are using state-of-the-art technology. Professionals are needed in service of the poorest of the poor. But we need to build an ecosystem. So there is construct. There is capacity. Yeah, all the training, all the hard skills, soft skills. There needs to be a common resource pool to which everybody will go. Exactly what Dhirendra Kumar ji said, that one farmer trained 100 other farmers. So we need to build capacity of all our women from these 30 women in a group of weavers. One should become a senior professional for quality. And we have to keep moving people upward in the value chain in capacity. Then you
I think we have lost this Neelam signal right now.
Sorry. No,
okay.
I unfortunately put myself on mute. So I'll just quickly jump from create to channel, market access. We really need to build producer-owned brands, right? Or majority producer-owned brands. So they will accrue maximum value. If your impact investor is going to take all the value in the brand, your poor woman will always be earning 4,000 rupees. Let us accept the fact of the matter. Okay. And she'll be struggling to pay that 12% interest for the rest of her life, right? And so that is the channel piece. And then you've got the capital piece. You need strong working capital instruments. And then you've got the digital connectivity piece. If these pieces of the ecosystem can be built at scale, then social enterprise will blossom, because for each of these, social entrepreneurs can plug in. They can offer return on investment to their investors. Definitely. And I am very pro impact investment, because we need a blend of finance, blended capital, philanthropic capital, and impact investment. But without a supporting ecosystem, everybody will be pedaling on the same spot for the next 20 years. That's my learning of the last 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neelam, for that lovely framework that you gave us of the 6 Cs. So, Chakra, as Neelam said, right now it seems to be the job of the social enterprise to build, construct, capacity, channel, the entire ecosystem in a way. So, I think you also agree that first the social enterprise itself has to be sustainable if it has to create sustainable livelihoods. So how can a social enterprise be sustainable in this scenario where it is investing so much of its money in building the ecosystem And on top of that, it has to stay profitable. It has to take care of its own costs. So are there any magic formulas to do that?
Absolutely, very hard question. So not a easy one at all. And then there are so many entrepreneurs like you are coming as a flying good example to to prove this. I think the whole of India, again, just as a macro system to the question that you are asking, Kunal, I think we are living in a world of super cash burn, high growth, and high valuation. That's what get talked every day. People are not giving so much thought about sustainability. How do you should have break even? How do you run the company with your own money? All that, just literally, people at least have forgotten India's history of how enterprises were built from 1947 to 1991, when a lot of private capital was not available. So that's a moment in truth. I think it's going to come. Maybe a few years later, because we are currently on a high of a lot of fund investing. I think finally, I think it all comes to, it's for me, the high growth, high cash burn is all just in a moment of time. It's like catching a tiger's tail, either you are dead or you're caught. So, it's literally a binary answer. But at least in Upaya, we fundamentally believe that sustainable business are always better. We don't believe in high cash burn businesses, because for us, employment generation is at the center. So the jobs that we are creating, if the enterprises that are creating has to be sustainable, the enterprises themselves has to be sustainable. And we are already seeing some spurt in the mainstream industry because of high growth, high exponential growth. There are a lot of layoffs that people are coming across in everyday newspaper. It's already that, the green shoots, the shoots are like that. It's always better to build a sustainable one. I think we truly believe that. I think for us, the fundamental, at least the framework that comes, which we share with all our ecosystem players, is okay, which part of the problem that people are looking for which enterprises are creating solution, is that something, is the customer ready to pay for it, and is that something they can pay for it, and is it affordable to them, is the first question. If the service is going to, let's say, any customer who's an end beneficiary who's benefiting from it, the answer really comes from that. I think whether the unit economics is going to be positive or not, that's number two. And if these two are there, then the organizational sustainability comes into play. But in the early days, people don't talk these days about the product market fit or a solution fit or unit economics, because most of the time the product that are created, especially those are traded in online platforms, are all with negative gross margin. So sustainability has become a big question. So it's good to concentrate on those basic parameters and see how we can be sustainable. But again, question is, the product that we are catering to, the customer, the market fit is not an easy answer to get right on day one. I think it just evolves as somebody works through it, is what I would summarize. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that interesting insight and the point of view, Chakra. So we are almost reaching the end of our time before we have some time for the questions. So very quickly, I'd like all the three speakers to also tell us a little bit about the point of view from the rural, the micro entrepreneurs point of view. How do we get artisans to actually think, behave, act like an entrepreneur? That's not something that's they are used to. We don't expect that, at least. So very quickly, I would like to have idea from first Dhirendra ji, starting with you. How did you motivate the rural women to act like entrepreneurs in Jharkhand? Dhirendra ji, you're on mute if you're speaking. Maybe.
Yeah. So we feel it's making an entrepreneur takes long time. It's a hand holding of 1 year, 1.5 years to 2 years. Then a person become a skilled entrepreneurs, then you expose them to the market. What we did in Jharcraft, we were sending the artisans to different fairs, international fairs, national fairs. Gradually, they grasped the nitty-gritty of the marketing, and today, many of the artisans, they have become entrepreneur and they are doing their business itself. I will quote just one example. There is one handloom cluster in Vagaya, which we developed initially. Now in that area, there are 1,000 entrepreneurs have developed. They are doing their business. They are going to different fairs. They are taking orders, supplying the handloom fabrics, and their average turnover per entrepreneur is more than 50 lakhs per year. This is how the things are changing. So it takes, but then it takes like a long time for hand holding. This is the way we have developed in Jharcraft.
Yeah. Neelam, could you share your experience with it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what Dhirendra ji is saying. In our experience, because I think local markets are much easier and are very important, but we should have a gradation of local, very, very local market, national market to global market. And I am actually for the small entrepreneur, local market and national market is good. But I think if you look at the scale, if you really look at scale, today still India, maybe organized retail is just 6% or 5%. It's just a small amount. Yeah. But let it be quite clear that this is going to increase year on year, right? And we should be prepared on how our entrepreneurs are also gearing up for dealing with larger brands, larger supply. Yeah? Because when you talk, you will have to build lakhs of entrepreneurs. Yeah? So, and also the MSME status, how to manage an MSME. So definitely, I believe that for dealing with national level brands or with global brands, it's a 3-year journey, 2.5 to 3-year journey to be able to get. And also, I strongly think there should be a very strong gender focus. Out of the 1,000 entrepreneurs, we should attempt that at least 50% are women, right? Because we see that once women earn better, you will see the social status of the family increasing, health, nutrition, education improving. So keeping all these in mind, I strongly agree with Dhirendra Kumar ji, and we must be moving our artisans to become entrepreneurs. And definitely we have lots of people from the local communities who are graduates, BComs, BTechs, BEs, and they should be pushed more and more into the entrepreneurial journey. It is very possible. We have also seen a lot of success with it, and that is actually a trajectory on which we are moving more and more and engaging with the National Rural Livelihood Missions on that. As Dhirendra Kumar ji said, if somebody will train that one farmer, he will work with 100 more farmers. So I think it is a very, very good idea, and that is the best method to move forward.
Thank you for that insight, Neelam. Chakra, very quickly, if you could also tell us that how do we bring in financial literacy, because that I think could be a bottleneck for many of the rural micro entrepreneurs. What can a social enterprise do in that sphere?
I think the right away exposing them to the market and then started working them itself will start giving. People have started asking questions. Why are you paying us this much? Can you pay price higher and all that? But there is a cycle in which this happens. But there is a capacity building one can do if you are doing a long-term partnership with them. If it's not for a short fly-by-night operator who just lands up in their space and then buy their commodity and then vanishes in the next season. But if you're really shooting for long term, saying that, okay, let's say Nalanda is an area where I wanted to procure, but can I promote groups there and then train them, associate with them? And it's a good customer relationship management tool that gets built by the social enterprise. And the long term, the groups are also getting benefited through it. And then the throughput that comes from them, the social entrepreneur is benefiting, or the enterprise is benefiting. That's one way to sort of look at financial literacy. There are mechanisms in which now even government is attempting. For example, Small Farmer Agribusiness Consortium and other agency in which they are saying it's just not about finance, but how do you do capacity building through the CBOs, the capacity building organization itself, along with FPC to do the financial literacy. For me, I think it boils down to the people who are going to operate. So it's about how do we pick people in those FPC who can take a lead and run with it, or the groups or the communities in which picking out the early leaders and training them is where the crux is, at least for the financial literacy part.
Thank you so much for that, Chakra. We'll now open the house to questions. We don't have too much of time, but anybody has any pressing questions, we can just ask the panelists to answer that.
We have one question in the chat box from Mr. Dhirendra. Could you please elaborate about the business model being used for tussar silk production?
See, in Jharkhand, we are following the whole value chain method. We were focusing on the production of cocoon, then conversion of cocoon into yarn, then production of fabrics from the yarn. Then we had a strong design unit, 16 designers from NIFT and NID. They were working in the department. Then we had a strong marketing chain. Our outlets across the country, 36 outlets across the country. And we are participating in national and international fairs. And most overall, the whole value chain of the tussar silk production in Jharcraft was certified as organic tussar silk. This was our USP. We were the only company in this sector which has the organic certification for the whole value chain. So that's why we are able to export our products to different countries also. When China used to buy from us. So this was the method. This was the method we are following, that we have to control the whole value chain. Then only we can pass on the benefits to the ground level. And this has happened. When we started, the cocoon prices was ₹1 per unit. It increased from 1 to 3 rupees per cocoon. Then the reelers, they were getting 600 rupees per kg. We offered them 1,000 rupees per kg. The weavers, they were getting 200 rupees for a piece of simple sari. We are giving them 400 rupees per saris because we are able to sell their products at a higher rate. And above all, the Jharcraft was a profit-making company, and we were maintaining, passing on the benefits, upfront benefits to the entire value chain. And it was a profit-making company. We are not taking anything from the government for our establishment. We're meeting our all establishment needs of about 8 crores per year. And still, it was a profit-making company. When I left, it was a 100 crore company making profit. This is more than 3.5 lakhs people associated with that company. That's how we are working, but we are taking care of the whole value chain.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dhirendra. We have another question for Mr. Kunal. We would like him to tell us more about his venture Resham Sutra and the challenges he faced while unlocking value of rural ecosystem. Secondly, what role has technology played, and in times to come up, what is the future roadmap?
Well, that seems to be a pretty long question, and I'm not sure if I can do justice in the short time available. But very briefly, so like Dhirendra sir explained, we got started with him. We were introduced to the silk value chain, and from there, we entered the industry from the production side. But then we gradually realized that we have to get into rest of the value chain to actually make the impact that we would like to see. So now we are setting up our rural experience centers, which are places where the local artisans are trained to use the machines and do more productive and better quality work. And then we handhold them, we provide them raw material linkages, and we provide them market linkages. So the idea is that we can scale it up within the community without taking the people outside or depending on resources from outside, whatever can be enabled using the local resources, including manpower, including local raw material, and just minimal dependence on outside. And technology, whether we talk about production technology, now increasingly there is a need for digital technology to come in, especially when we try to scale up the rural businesses, because they are geographically very disparate and very remote from the markets very often. So I think that is something that we need to leverage more, and definitely there are a lot of benefits to be achieved from there. So that's where Resham Sutra is also going. We are working on a digital platform, bringing in all the producers on that and trying to connect the producers and the market through a common digital platform. So yeah, that's what we do in a brief nutshell. Yeah. So I think.
Thank you, Kunal. And thank you, everybody. I must thank everybody for all the patience they kept in the technical glitch we faced while starting the panel discussion. I thank all the panelists for actually giving us so much of valuable experience. It was like, their journeys. Maybe we are not maybe, I mean, I'm sure we can take our enterprise to a greater height with all the learnings from Dhirendra Kumarji, Neelam, Chhiber, and Chakra. And I would now want invite Chakra to bring this session to a closure with all the, rounding it up. Thank you, Chakra.
Thanks, Prashna. I think I'll take a quick minute to sort of wrap up. I think all the snippets that were given by all by peer panelists were extremely very thoughtful and insightful. And luckily we had, some of the government and private, person sort of enterprise being in the same panel. So, and both of them have worked together. That's another good part. I think the great takeaway is I think there are early successes which are coming, which is either Dhirendraji's initiative and that leading to Resham Sutra, Kunal's own work. That's been fantastic journey. I think we need more success stories like this, where people now should start looking at this and say, we have innovated so much in the urban market and for urban areas, and this is the time to sort of go focus in rural and grow this more. I think that's the way I sort of look at it. And then Neelam's, 3 decades of experience came out in the 6C framework, and how that is extremely useful to sort of move towards, when you start working and building an enterprise, how you should be very careful about the agencies that are surrounding you, not to always see that you are solo in the journey. I think those are 2-3 key takeaways for me at least, and say how we can sort of start building this in many more subsector like this, beyond cocoon. Like Neelam said, how do we get even the cocoon or the silk story as strong as Amul in the decades to come? That's how I would sort of see. And then I would definitely like to see personally Resham Sutra being there as a model to replicate in many other sectors. And of course, with all the support of Dhirendraji and Neelam and others. Yes. And of course, Upaya will always be there. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We close the session with this now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.